Anyway, Tzveta, so nice to have you here. And we were talking, and you were talking about how you're using the Puppet app in ways that I never have. And I was sort of part of releasing it for people to use. And I thought, I bet if I don't know as how to use some of the features you're talking about, maybe this would be great for us to learn on a call like this. So thank you for being here.
Well, thank you so much for having me here as a presenter, Karen. I've been on almost all of the Just for Now calls, and it has been like a real privilege to be able to learn and meet all those wonderful people, like all the wonderful people who are here and who have been on the calls. So may I share my screen?
Yeah.
The presentation? Okay.
Yeah, I'm expecting you to.
Okay, here it comes. So I would like to show you some practical ideas and some more tips on using the online Puppets app. As a therapist, I often use puppets in my work, and in face-to-face sessions. I use not only my puppet, as you can see, one of my favorite co-therapists. I use additional objects, and very often when playing with the kids, with my clients, we hide behind different objects as part of the process of showing, revealing something, and hiding. So when I began working online, that was my first question. Well, how could I work with the online Puppet app and also use additional objects? Or how could I make my puppet hide behind some objects on a computer? So I started experimenting, and I found out that I can combine the online Puppets app and the annotate function in Zoom, because I carry out my sessions in Zoom. So here, it is possible to draw on top of the screen with the Puppet app open. You can see the Santa Claus with the elves on a holiday on a tropical island. And another thing you can do when you draw using the annotate function in Zoom, like here, you can see on the playground, there is a sandcastle built. And when this little girl destroys the sandcastle, she discovers a dragon puppet and another girl puppet hiding behind the sandcastle. So those are my favorite things, and I've been using it very often when working online with my clients, and especially with the work with a couple of my clients who have physical problems. I work with children who have some kind of physical disability, so some of them cannot move except to move their face and to move their hands just a little bit so they can move the mouse. And through participating in an online session using the online Puppets app, they are able to create a story and to make their puppets move. And it's fascinating for them. So I would love to share a story about a client of mine who, through the combination of online Puppets app and the annotate function of Zoom, managed to express his feelings and basically his anger and the accompanying feelings. We started our story with him sharing that everyone is teasing him, that the world is not fair. And he said, I will make a magic potion and we will make a shield around my home. So I said, fine. Here in this session, I'm playing with the girl and he's playing with the dragon. The dragon brought the ingredients for the magic potion. He lit the fire and suddenly the fire got out of control. The fire got even bigger. So his dragon had to fly and get me, the puppet, on the other side, sort of rescue me. Then the fire was uncontrollable. So the dragon had to ask for help other puppets who slowly put down the fire. And the only thing that remained was a dark, dark hole. It was a bottomless hole. So through this short story, my client was able to express in a metaphorical way the experience and to express it and to have the experience of his anger, also his fear when things got out of control, his frustration, his helplessness and need of support, and finally the feeling of emptiness and exhaustion and sort of devastation. And afterwards, we continued from that story on, and he was able to own those feelings, like to recognize them as being actually his. But it wouldn't have been possible without him first expressing them through this story, a story which was a combination of both. So now I would like to challenge you to try and use the Puppet app and combine it with the annotate function and have a short experience in the breakout rooms. But first, I will just give you some practical tips on how to do this. So, in order to draw, you first have to have the online app, Puppets app open and to share your screen. But then you have to click on the annotate function. And the annotate function is visible for the person who is the host, but for the others, the annotate function is to the right, where it is written, you are viewing somebody's screen, and then there's view option. And the third or the fourth option is annotate. And once you have that open, you can use, you can draw, you can use all the functionality. You can erase. Yes, I see someone experimenting. Great. Exactly, that's how it goes. You can erase it. You can mark it and move it. So once you have drawn whatever you want to draw on the scene, if you want to move your puppet again, you have to close the annotate function. Only after that would you be able to move the puppet. And another interesting thing is that if you are annotating and the other person wants to move his puppet or her puppet, you have to close the annotate function. So another thing is that when you draw something, your puppet will be behind the drawn object. So that is a feature that is quite of a sudden, quite wonderful actually, because puppets can hide behind whatever we decide. We can hide the puppets, we can show only parts of them, and in such a way our puppets have their own private space. So the short activity I would like to offer is, if we, Max, if you could make breakout rooms of 3 or 4 people, and then, oh, here I have the instructions for the breakout rooms. So the idea is to open the online Puppets app, and everyone in the breakout room, that will be 3 or 4 people, to choose a puppet and to open annotate function on their screen and draw the house or the hiding place of their puppet. And so when that is ready, everyone has to close the annotate function, so the puppets will be able to move. And then 2 of the puppets make a short dialogue, like they're meeting for the first time. The idea here is to experiment with moving our puppets and talking from within our house or within the puppet's house, out of the house, or choosing whether to be in or out. And we will have about, Karen, how much? Maybe 6 minutes or 5?
Let's do like 12 minutes. Let's do double that, just to give people time.
Well, perfect. Okay, so
like 4 minutes a person, let's say.
That sounds great. Well, just experiment and try to feel the feeling. What is it for you to be in your own space as a puppet, the space you created for it, or outside of it, but knowing you can always go back in. So that's my suggestion. And I will put in the chat all the instructions, because they might be helpful.
I think they will be.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, great. So you'll put this in the chat. Max is going to open the breakout rooms. Okay, so you're going to join the breakout rooms and try it. If not, you can just work with the puppets. It's not an exercise in frustration. That's not what we're promoting here. We've had enough of that the last few years. So just have fun with the puppets. The worst happens. And if you can figure this out to draw something and have your puppet have a space, lovely. And so take about 4 minutes a person just to pick a puppet, draw something, and see the experience, and then switch. And you can ask for help. We'll send Tzveta to everyone's breakout rooms.
Yes, please do. Just write, I need help. Room, whatever needs help, I'm coming.
Right. So, let's see. Patrick, how do folks access the Puppet app? Okay. It's, what is it? Online puppets.
Yeah, I just posted it in the chat just above Tzveta's instructions. So.
Did you get to work with the puppets?
No. I'm not very good with computer, so it will be quite a stress for me, and I'm a little bit tired. So, okay. But I'm enjoying very much the discussion, and it's nice to see people.
Okay. Yeah, no stress.
Yeah.
No extra stress. For sure, we don't want that. That's for sure.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So, like, when you get the screen share, does the client just do the manipulating of the puppets, or how do I like get my puppet to be on their screen? Or you know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
Or does the
So,
client just move the puppets?
uh,
'Cause that's something we couldn't figure out.
so that's one thing I forgot to share. One thing that I do is I open the online Puppets app on my screen, and afterwards I give the client remote control over the mouse. So there's a
Okay.
button saying remote control, and then your client has to accept it, and then both of you can move the puppets, and the puppets are on one and the same screen.
So I printed out your instructions. So in the instructions, where do I insert that step of giving remote control?
You insert the step of giving remote control at the moment after everyone closes the annotate function when ready.
Okay.
Okay, it's the number 8. The host gives the mouse control instead.
Oh, there it is.
the
Okay.
remote control.
Okay. Okay.
I should have known you didn't leave a step out, Tzveta.
Yeah.
You're very thorough. That doesn't surprise me that it's in there. Anyone have an experience with hiding the puppet?
Great. It was it worked, you know, where the annotation was there and you could hide the puppets behind. So you could have all sorts of things, houses, caves. Mine was a big ball of wool, a big sort of, you know, ball of wool that the snakes hid in. It was fantastic. It was really, really good.
Well, thanks, Tzveta. You had a point about, I remarked about how wonderful it was that her client who has very little mobility was able to have a Gestalt play therapy experience because of Tzveta, of course, and because of the app. And you made a point that I thought would be great for us all to hear. You coming back?
Just happening to my camera, excuse me.
Of course, just at the time, I'm like, and Tzveta, and then you go dark on us.
Okay. Well, you'll have to hear my answer without seeing me.
We can do that. No problem.
Sorry. Sorry for the inconvenience. Okay, so an interesting thing is that when telling a story, the brain centers that are responsible for the movements that are described in a story, the same brain centers get activated. Same thing happens when a person is seeing a movement, like the center in his brain that are responsible for that type of movement, they get activated. So through using the Puppets app, my client was able to actually experience movement and experience movements he has absolutely no way to experience in his everyday life. And that I find is just a fascinating thing that can be done through story in combination with the online Puppets app.
Thank you. I think that's such a wonderful point about all the things that we get to do, even using telehealth to help children. And I think we never would have thought that it could be as helpful as it has turned out to be. Thank goodness. So thanks, Tzveta. Thanks for upping all of our tech skills.